Hi friends, I'm Carol Keller, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the US. And today I have my second in my series using the Extraordinary Flora washi tape and Companion Extraordinary Flora bundle. I hope you like my card for today. If you didn't see my first video, I released that a week ago, so if you are on my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, you will find it there. I plan to release a couple more at least every Tuesday, hopefully 5 in all. Right now there are 4 for sure, so look for those in the coming weeks. All right, let's get started. Here is today's card. I think it's very simple, but hopefully very elegant. I hope that's what you think. And I decided to do it so simply that I didn't even do a title because I didn't want to detract from the beautiful exposed brick 3D embossing folder that was used for the back and from the flowers. So this uses one of the colorways with the Extraordinary Flora tape. And you can see it's got purples and it's got blues and some greens. And now we're going to make a card using the other one so that you can see the differences between them. So in order to do that, I have a piece of Flirty Flamingo cardstock, and it is cut at 3 1/4 inches by 5 1/2. That is so one section of the washi tape can be put right on here. So let me show you. This is the colorway we're going to use today. Just going to unroll it carefully here. And the way you know that you have reached the end is you will start to see the other colorway and the flowers at the bottom match the ones at the top. So we're going to cut right underneath those. So I'm going to grab my paper snips and make sure you leave enough room between each one. You don't have to cut it straight at all. Leave enough room so that you can, cut it out. So you have to have a little bit of space around each flower, which I do here and also here. And let me just unroll it, and we're going to put it right on the cardstock. So the easiest way I found is to line it up at one of the long edges. And you can see there's a little bit of extra room, so you can see that you have enough to run the whole length of the cardstock, hopefully. Yep. So, and I usually kind of start with the middle and work my way out. So you can see there's a tiny bit of overlap on this edge, but it doesn't matter. And at the end, it tends to want to bunch up a little bit, especially at this end for some reason. So smooth that out. And that at this end, I've not had a problem with yet. Why? I don't know. But I decided to do this way. I had seen another demonstrator, I think she used Pool Party, to mount this color of the washi tape, this section. So I decided to try it. I really like the way that it's very subtle. I used Coastal Cabana for this one, and that's the card base as well, and this is fresh Freesia, but I really liked the way it just subtly brought out the color of the card base. So we're going to do the same thing today because we're going to do this with a very vanilla, or excuse me, a Flirty Flamingo card base. So, but the first thing I'm going to do is grab my die, and there's only one right way to line it up, which makes it easy. So what I did was, I'm going to bring in some washi tape, some other washi tape to use to adhere the die to the cardstock and the washi tape here. So I'm just making sure that everything looks pretty well lined up, top to bottom and side to side, like it's off here. So I know I need to readjust. Let's see. And it really pays off to take a little bit of patience, because you're going to be happy with the result. Once you are happy, we're going to put that washi tape down. I'm going to grab another piece and do the same thing at the other end so that it holds the die in place. And then I'm going to run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I will be right back. And actually, I decided to run it through on camera just to show you that it does fit in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which I think is really nice. It fits beautifully right in here. So we'll cut it out. right, and it looks like everything ran through. We'll get the plates out of the way and be very careful peeling off the washi tape, although it's less of an issue on the washi tape than it is on cardstock. Works a little bit more easily, which is nice. And we'll lift the die off, take the washi tape, and we'll pop out the rest of the images. And then we'll take this away because we don't need it anymore. And now we have all of our images. I will say the hardest part for me was deciding on the placement. If you've watched my other videos, you heard me say that too. Because that was definitely the most challenging part, was just deciding how I wanted to lay everything out. But let's get started doing that. So again, I've got a Flirty Flamingo card base to match the cardstock that's on the other side of the washi tape. Grab my bone folder. And I also have a piece of very vanilla, and I've run it through the exposed brick 3D embossing folder. This piece is cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches so that it is first layer size. And I'm going to put that right on with my seal. See, that looks pretty good. And so now the fun part is just laying everything out, like I said, and trying to kind of figure out what looks best. So I'm going to follow this because it took me forever to do it. It seems like do whatever pleases you. I think that's the easiest. And I put glue dots on the back of each element because I just felt that that was a good adhesive to use, because I want to be able to tuck things under. So I didn't want glue or something that's necessarily going to dry and then I'm not going to be able to move things. So I decided to do that. And because I took so much time with this layout, I'm going to follow it exactly, because that is the easiest thing for me. So I've got several glue dots, and like this is going to get tucked underneath here. Whoops. About like that, I think. And I use this. So I didn't use all the components. On some of the cards that I made in my series that you'll see on YouTube, I did use every component that was cut out, but on this one I did not. And then we're gonna lay this one up here so that it's pretty close to the other flower. And then this one will get tucked in. Maybe we'll do 2 here. And that gets tucked underneath this way. Just like this. I used some of the smaller ones, the single flowers. So I did want an odd number. That was important to me. So there are 3 on here, and I'm going to add 2 more to make it 5. Actually, I'm going to turn this like this and tuck that under. Some of these smaller flowers are definitely showing more white space on the one side. And that just seemed, no matter how I positioned it, there was no way of getting around that, which is okay. And so then the same thing here, we're going to take this one and tuck it up at the top. Just like this. So we're hiding a little bit of that white space, but letting the flower peek out. And that is it. That is the front of the card. So I do have extras, but you're going to see when I show you the inside, we're going to use some of those for the inside. So on the inside, actually I just used 1, take that back. For the inside, I have a piece of Very Vanilla, cut again at 4 inches by 5 1/4. So first layer size, and I'm gonna stamp, in case you need me, I'm here. We're gonna stamp that in the Flirty Flamingo. Let's put that over here. And that is all the stamping on this card. I think it's the least amount of stamping I've ever done on a card that didn't come with pre-stamped images. And so then I'm going to take this, put some glue dots again on the back. And you can do this before or after you mount this piece to the inside. And I debated actually putting it on this side, but then I think because of the longer piece, I decided to put it on the right hand side. Put some seal on the back. And then this goes on the inside. Just like that. And our card is complete. So once you decide how you want your flowers to be, which trust me when I tell you is the hard part, then the rest goes very quickly. So I have a lot left that I can clearly use on another card, but that is it. That is today's card. And I keep these in a little bag so that I can keep track of them and not lose them. But this is the card for today. Which colorway do you like better? Post in the comments. And then let me show you what I used. Beside the Extraordinary Flora die, I used the Exposed Brick 3D Embossing folder. Love this, one of my favorites. And then the sentiment comes from the beautiful Butterflies stamp set. In case you need me, I'm here. I really like the set. I love the butterflies, but I also love the sentiment and the font, everything about that. So that was it. That was all I used on the card, except for the colors that I told you in the card base and the layers. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you watching. Please check out my other videos in my Extraordinary Flora series. Like I said, there are 5 in all. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Click on the bell and you'll be notified when I post new videos. I have lots of scrapbook pages, lots of other card videos, home decor items, tips and techniques, beginner videos. I do paper pumpkin alternatives every month, so hopefully there's a lot there that you will find useful. So please check those out as well. And I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Happy stamping.